Hey friends, Jill here. Welcome to Berkeley Farms. I feel like I do that every time. I'm like so used to like, do you have a tagline when you start your videos?
We talked about this last time and I don't think I do. Although I think I always say, hey y'all, but I don't know.
Well, maybe don't because it'll totally trip you up. I've been at Lauren's house all day and I'm still want to be like, welcome to Whispering Willow Farm. This is my friend Lauren. Many of you guys probably know her. If you don't, her name's Lauren. Her and her husband Tyler have a market farm pretty close to us. You're about 30 minutes from where we are. They have a beautiful farm. I kind of just gave you guys some B-roll.
I apologize about the sweatpants.
We were joking about that. So Lauren is due in April?
Yes, April 15th.
Lauren is welcoming a sweet little baby right around the time of our plant sale. So we've been joking about that too.
Timing.
Yeah, it is. It's good timing. It's never a bad time to have a baby, right?
If there is, it would be right around the plant sale.
And so she has got this beautiful greenhouse that I just showed you guys. She also has a huge high tunnel. You've got pigs and chickens. Before we kind of jump into what this video is going to be about, which is going to be about answering plant sale questions, I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to kind of tell our viewers what you do here, what your goal and your vision for your farm is.
That's good. I didn't realize you were going to ask me that.
Putting you on the spot.
Okay, so yeah, we are Berkeley Farm, whatever you want to call it. It's just my husband and I. I'm a part-time nurse and he is a full-time fireman and he also works part-time as a paramedic. So feel like we're pretty busy, but my passion lies in farming and gardening, and for a long time it was just a hobby. For a long time, up until this last year really, when I had kind of been on the fence and toying with the idea of market farming, market gardening, but wasn't quite ready to make that jump just because of, I don't know, lack of confidence really. Yeah. And that's when Jill randomly reached out to me one day and on Marco Polo, which is, if you're not familiar, it's just like a video app. And she, for whatever reason, I don't know how you knew that I was like kind of toying with this idea, but Jill reached out to me one day and said, hey, what are you trying to do? What are your goals? And let's get you there. And so we have been market gardening ever since. I had a tunnel built. I mean, I feel like I pretty much jumped all in.
Yeah.
I had the tunnel built by Mindful Farmer, who is Jill's co-farming partner. And we just had our first summer season last summer. It was really successful for our first season. And then went and got myself pregnant, and moving into the fall season was a little rough for a little while. But we're ready to really gear it back up for the summer season. So we're out here just market gardening, trying to grow food for profit.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome. So she is learning and growing her market farm. She is also doing a YouTube and kind of showing you guys the process and educating, which I think it's really valuable. You have a lot of people who do a lot of these channels, and this is not how my channel is. Like, hey, there is some educational things, but I really want to show you guys how we are figuring it out, right? We do not know everything. Yeah. And we're always in a place where we're learning and growing. And that's one thing I really appreciate your channel is as you are new and learning these things, you're very authentic in showing that with your audience. And you guys know when I find my people, I hold on to them tightly. And Lauren is one of those people.
Yeah, Jill hasn't let me back out of anything.
No, I'm like very committed to like helping people see their vision through. And I think it's because a lot of times we do have self-doubt and you just kind of need that person to encourage you like, hey, you can actually do it. And so you guys go check her out. I'm going to link her YouTube. I'm going to link her Instagram, her website, where you guys can kind of check out what she's doing. But Lauren and I are also here today to do a plant sale video. So we did part 1, part 2. She released part 1 last week, which I'll put the video up here. You guys can see it. Talking about variety, setting yourself apart. How do you stand out at a plant sale? And today we're going to be talking about the legal side of that. And also creating your own plant sale. This is actually something that I have never really talked about. I've given you guys kind of like everything I do for our plant sale, but we participate in a local plant sale, and we've never thought about doing our own. But I have had many of you guys reaching out, hey, I don't have anything like this. What do I do? And so we're gonna kind of talk about that today. One thing I will say is there is no black or white answer to anything, especially when it comes to the legal side of plants. That is going to be very, very dependent on where you live. So we're here in Central Arkansas. For us to sell plants, we don't have a license we have to carry. I mean, you are gonna have to pay like sales tax depending on what it is that you're selling at your plant sale. But we are really fortunate to where we just don't have a lot of those legal fees. You'd even talk to your your accountant about the sales tax? Yeah,
about sales tax. Here, per my accountant here in Central Arkansas, we don't have to charge sales tax when we sell plants.
Plants, yes.
So that's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think it would be dependent on like maybe some of the other things if you brought to a plant sale and we're selling them. So we are very fortunate in that regards. There is going to be a resource I can tell you though. No matter where you live, you are going to have access to an extension office. Utilize that. I remember when I first started gardening, I don't know about you, I would call my local extension office, go up there and talk to them. That is what they are there for, is to help farmers and gardeners on any scale. They will know legally what you are required. Also like a Google search.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can just Google. That is something though. Some states do require that you have a nursery license or a permit. There's a lot of legality that can be involved in plant sales. It is going to differ from state to state. So Google search, reach out to your local extension office, know those things though before. And if you have someone who is starting a plant sale, they'll tell you. More than likely, you know, they'll be like, hey, we're gonna need this from you and this from you. But if you're thinking about starting it, you know, plant sale yourself, you're definitely gonna wanna know those things on the front end of it.
I would say don't let those things deter you from wanting to sell plant starts. The extension office, man, like they want to help you. They have come out to our house multiple times, and even we've had somebody come out specifically for some water issues we were having, and he noticed some other random thing that could be improved on our farm, and like next day he had some other expert from the extension office out there. So they want to help you, so reach out to them. Yeah,
for sure. All right, so another thing we're going to talk about is creating your own plant sale.
Yes.
This is hard. I feel like it doesn't have to be hard, but it's one of those things that even just like saying it seems intimidating. And like Lauren had just mentioned, don't let this deter you. There is value in it. And so I think that would probably be like my first little thing to say before we even jump into this. If you are feeling called to do a plant sale and this is something you feel like you need to do for your community, do it. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be worth it. We are fortunate enough to where we have someone that hosts all of this. And even within that, we kind of had a powwow this morning of like, oh, wow, this is kind of overwhelming. So make sure that you have your people that you can lean on and kind of talk through this. I know that for us, the plant sale, Bell Urban Farm puts it on. And we can even kind of just touch on that, like how much it has meant to us to have access to something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
From a community aspect, from a, like revenue aspect, like bringing in profit to your farm, I think it's great. I kind of want you to touch on one way you could do it, which would be selling at your farm. And then I'm going to kind of hit on if you were to create an event, what that might potentially look like.
Okay. So one way, if you don't have the opportunity, I'm aware not every town or location has the opportunity to be a vendor in some already established plant sale.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate. But you are determined that you want to sell plant starts. Do it. And one way you can do that is you don't have to have this big to-do plant sale that all the people know about. You can advertise it on social media, which is free, as a come to my farm. If you have a greenhouse, shop my greenhouse, or shop my whatever, and you can sell plant starts right on your farm. It's up to you if you want to invite other farms to participate. It's up to you if you want to make it a one-day thing and really play it up big, a few weeks in advance and have it be a one-day, one and done. It's up to you if you want to drag it out over, and I don't mean drag it out in negative terms. I mean, I drag it out at my house until I get rid of my plant starts.
Yeah.
If you want to do it over the course of a week or two, it's up to you. You have so many options. You don't have to have an already established plant sale.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. You can just, and I know even Lauren has done that after the plant sale. She had leftover plants, and so you hopped on your Instagram and Facebook. Hey, if you're interested, message me. I don't know that I would blast my address everywhere, but if they wanted to reach out to you personally, you can tell them where to do that. And I think that's really good. And if you are just getting started and maybe you don't even feel comfortable participating in a plant sale if it's available to you, I think that's a good option, is to just sell plants out of your house. I even know my friend Natalie lives in California, and she's definitely in the city, right? And so she just kind of set up shop in her driveway.
Yeah.
And she made these big signs. She posted on her neighborhood Facebook page, and she sold plant starts that she grew in her concrete jungle, as we call it, in her backyard, in this little mobile greenhouse that she built. And
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. She was really like encouraged by it. And so I say that to tell you, you don't have to have a big greenhouse like Lauren's. You don't have to have a big greenhouse like mine. You can even just be growing a few things in your house, on racks and grow lights, and try to just gauge and sell them. Also, if you're a part of any sort of group, you could post, I know we have like community groups and fitness groups, and that's a really good way to kind of get your plants out.
You could even, this is just an idea off the top of my head, you could offer delivery and post it on social media. If people don't want to come out and buy, you could offer delivery at a certain price and make a little bit of money off of delivery fees too. People are here for convenience nowadays.
That is true. That's a really good idea. If you are wanting to maybe host your own, gosh,
that's exciting.
It is super exciting. So I guess if you're in that place, like, congratulations, you've obviously put a lot of time and effort into that. Maybe just a few things I would encourage you to think through, especially if it's going to be at a larger scale, is all those legal things. I know it's something, the lady who puts ours on, she's having our plant sale this year in a spot that requires all these permits, which require all of these things have to be on site. And so those are all additional fees. And so that's something to think about too when you're thinking through your site, or you're renting out an event space or something like that. Think through all of the permits that are going to be required by your city. Make sure you are talking to the right people and figuring that out. If you are doing this big on-farm, on-site plant sale, make sure that you have parking. Think about, what if someone needs to go to the restroom? Are you comfortable with them going in your house? And so those are probably some of the things that I would think through. And also, just, I think the biggest part is making sure that you don't jump into something and then it not go as well, and then that be what they remember your sale by. So for me, I would probably say, if you're thinking about it, but you don't really have an idea or a vision for what that looks like, you're not really sure about what vendors, but you're like, me and my friend can do it and we'll kind of advertise for it, I would probably encourage you to hold off and maybe spend the next year really planning and fine-tuning. That way, if you're wanting this to be a pillar for your community, you've executed it really well, and you've done the community engagement, you did the proper advertising, you have the other local farms on board to where you're putting out an event that one, not only you feel proud about, but that your city feels good about participating in, and they want to continue to participate in.
That's good advice.
Yeah, and so I definitely think that you should do it. I don't think that hosting your own plant sale, especially if you're wanting it to be a vendor-like event, should be something that should be a willy-nilly thought-through thing. I think, you should have spent time, resources, should have talked and reached out to someone, even if they're not local to you. If you've seen someone online doing a plant sale, knowing that there's no issue for competition or something like that, maybe ask them for advice. Hey, what are some of the things that you had to do? What is, some advice you can give me? Yeah. But I definitely think that it needs to be just a thought through thing that you do to really make sure that you're getting your community engaged in the best way possible.
Yeah, Oh, it's definitely a bigger deal than selling plant starts out of your home.
Right.
And so, and if you are planning a huge event, or you're thinking about planning a huge event and you're looking into it and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not quite ready for that this year, then sell them out of your home this year and plan for next year.
Yeah. And even go to these plant sales. That's something I would really encourage you, even people who think about going to the farmer's market. Like, oh, should I go to the farmer's market? Should I not? I don't know. Go to the farmer's market. See how their booths are set up. Ask them, like, what is required? What does a Saturday morning look like for you? And evaluate, okay, is this really something I want to do weekend after weekend? Same with the plant sale. When you see kind of all that's involved in that, and really with a plant sale, I think it's the more like back end organizing, making sure you have all these farmers lined out and stuff. That's really what is so stressful. It's just like organizing all of that, getting everybody on the same page can sometimes prove difficult. I do think that it is worth it. I think the community aspect that it brings to your local community is huge and definitely gonna be worth any of the work you put into it. But I would definitely just make sure you've thought about that and maybe talked to the right people and just kind of get some encouragement on that.
Yeah, that's good advice.
All right, so we were about to wrap up this video, but we did want to leave you with some good practical advice. We also left a little tidbit of advice on...
Oh, it can't be the same advice?
It can't be the same advice.
Oh, no. Okay.
What if they watched your video? So now we have to think of other good advice. It doesn't have to be plant sale related. Just advice.
Well, mine's plant sale related.
Okay, all right. Well, then lay it on.
Because yours is more, your video is more about the legalities and kind of that sort of thing. So, I would say if you're thinking about selling plant starts, first of all, you need to think about why you're selling them. Are you doing it just for fun? Or are you doing it to make a profit? I'm doing it to make a profit.
Yeah.
There was a time when I was doing it just for fun, but now my mindset has shifted quite a bit and I'm doing it for profit. I've gotten a lot of questions about, hold on, let me think this through. Okay, you go first.
Okay, so we're gonna act like none of that ever happened or just say Lauren's thinking through. Okay, Lauren's processing how to best give her advice.
Oh, this is so hard.
Okay, so my advice, all right, man, I usually always just have advice readily
See, it's hard. It's hard.
In the chamber. I think that my advice would be, if you are feeling called to do this for your community, know that there is purpose and hold on to that purpose. Not all of us are called to do this, right? I do believe that it is like a special gift and calling that God puts on us to grow food and live this lifestyle. It's not easy. Selling plant starts isn't really an easy thing. Like, there's troubleshooting. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to adapt. And if you are in a place where you're wanting to create this event, maybe this is plant sale related, you're wanting to like create this thing because you feel like there is a gap in your community and you're wanting to bridge that gap, feel like purposeful about that. Because I know, even just like thinking through this in the past, like, what if we did something like this? Y'all, it is going to be hard freaking work. But we do it because we're called to it. And so if you feel called to do this, to bridge that gap in your community, hold on to that calling and know that it is so worth doing and worth pursuing, even on the hard days. That I really do believe, you guys know, we preach community on our channel all the time because we find so much value in it. It's not about me competing with Lauren. It's about me partnering with Lauren. It's about me partnering with my friend Sean, me partnering with Bell Urban Farm. Like, it's all a partnership. Together we're so much greater than we are on our own, and I really believe that, and I feel like we are called to that purpose. And so if you are one of those that you're feeling this push, this calling to start something and bridge that gap in your community, I want to just encourage you to stay encouraged through the process. And maybe not advice, but maybe just a little encouragement is like, hey, you can do this. Stay with it. If you have any questions or you need extra encouragement, reach out to me. I would be happy to just kind of pour into you for a minute if that's what you're needing right now. And so that would probably be my...
Jill will pour into you even if you don't want it.
Even if you don't want it. This is one of my callings. I just
You're
feel
good at it too.
I feel so much purpose in what we do. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. And I think I really do grasp, like, I can't do this on my own. Like, I was not designed to do this on my own. We were all created to do this together. And when you really like latch onto that mentality, you become really inspired, not to see what you can do on your own, but to see how you can help other people achieve that calling that's been placed on their life as well. And that's why I feel so strongly with like what you're doing is I feel so called to what you are trying to achieve. And I know how that's going to greatly benefit my community members. Of course, I'm on board with that, you know?
That's cool. That's good.
That's all I got.
I should have gone first because that was really good and that made me feel really warm inside. And my piece of advice, we were literally just talking about this inside, about how Jill, you know, even if Jill didn't make a dime on the plant sale, she'd still do it for the community. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to make a buck here, woman. My advice is going to be more business minded, I think, which, you know, I guess that's good. It's like yin and yang. Not that I don't love the community. That is why I choose to partner with the vendors to do it versus doing it on my own. But anyways, my piece of advice is to think about why you're doing it, first of all. If you're doing it just for fun, more power to you. Love it. Have fun. If you're doing it from a business aspect and you're wanting to make a profit on this, my piece of advice for you today is to sit down and put pen to paper and have a goal in mind of how much money you want to make. Okay, you got to have a goal, because if you don't have a goal, chances are you're probably not going to make a whole lot. Sit down, you got to keep track of your cost. That sounds really, well, duh, Lauren, you got to keep track of your cost, but it's easy. It's easy to make a little purchase here and a little purchase there for the plant sale, and then things get out of control, and at the end of it, you don't know what you made. So keep really detailed notes of what you're spending. That includes the pot you're buying, the seed starting mix, any fertilizer you may use, the plant tags, I mean, the seeds, all of it. And then have that goal in mind and know what you need to do. Know how many plants you need to start to hit that goal. So that would be my piece of advice. Put pen to paper.
I think that is great advice. And yeah, most of you are probably doing this from a business aspect, right? We are very fortunate that last year was the first year that we could do the plant sale just because we wanted to engage in our community. And that feels really good. However, we're not relying on that, you know, but for most of the farmers there, for you, that is probably why you're doing this, right? Is for it to run profit for your farm. And so I think Lauren's advice is just that really good advice. So thank you guys for hanging out with us today in her greenhouse. If you have not caught part 1 of this, you probably should have caught that before you caught this, but I'll leave all of Lauren's stuff down below. You guys go check her out. But thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.